As recorded in the Old Testament, the warring nation of Assyria had at one time succeeded in capturing much of the Middle East. By 724 BC, there were no independent states from Assyria to Egypt. The kingdom of Israel had been conquered and carried captive to Assyria, and the kingdom of Judah, along with many other nations, was forced to pay a burdensome tribute. When Hezekiah, king of Judah, ascended the throne, he rebelled, and he refused to pay the intolerable tribute to the Assyrians. Enraged at this rebellion, Sennacherib, the powerful king of Assyria, swept into the kingdom of Judah in 701 BC, besieging and subduing all of her fortified cities except Jerusalem. Soon, all Palestine lay at the feet of Sennacherib's ravaging hordes. His psychological warfare and his vast army machine were at Jerusalem's very doorstep.
In light of this inevitable assault, Hezekiah, king of Judah, made preparations for the defense of Jerusalem. He strengthened the city walls. He built a tunnel to bring water into the city. He made darts and shields in abundance, and in all other ways readied his people for war.
But even his ambitious industry and artful maneuvering did nothing to dissuade the mighty Assyrians' attack.
King Hezekiah, having set captains of war over the people, gathered them together in the street near the gates of the city to speak to them.
Be strong and courageous. Be not afraid nor dismayed for the king of Assyria, not for all the multitude that is with him. For there be more with us than with him. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles.
And the people rested themselves upon the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah. For Hezekiah did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, trusting in the Lord God of Israel,
Abolishing pagan tyranny and false worship,
destroying idolatry, and re-enthroning the worship of Jehovah in the kingdom of Judah.
When Sennacherib realized that Jerusalem would not yield, he sent Rabshakeh, a warrior servant, with a message for King Hezekiah.
Brazenly standing before those who were upon the city wall, Rabshakeh delivered the message in the form of a taunting, blasphemous speech, demanding that Jerusalem surrender to the Assyrians.
Thus saith Sennacherib, king of Assyria, whereon do ye trust that ye abide in the siege in Jerusalem? Doth not Hezekiah persuade you to give yourselves over to die, saying the Lord our God shall deliver us out of the hand of the king of the Assyrians? Know ye not what I and my fathers have done unto all the people of the other lands? Were the gods of those lands in any ways able to deliver their people out of mine hand? Now therefore, let not Hezekiah deceive you, nor persuade you on this manner, neither believe him. For no God of any nation or any kingdom was ever able to deliver his people out of mine hand and the hand of my fathers. How much less will your God deliver you out of mine hand?
But the people held their peace and answered him not a word. For the king's commandment was saying, answer him not.
Sennacherib continued to rail on the Lord God of Israel, declaring that since the gods of the other nations had not delivered their people out of his hands, neither would Hezekiah's God rescue his people from Sennacherib's powerful army.
For this cause, Hezekiah sent emissaries to the great prophet Isaiah to seek counsel in behalf of himself and his people. Isaiah sent a message back to King Hezekiah.
Thus shall ye say to your master, thus saith the Lord, be not afraid of the words which thou hast heard, wherewith the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I shall send a blast upon him, and he will hear a rumor and return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land.
The emissaries returned to King Hezekiah, carrying with them Isaiah's promise of deliverance and his prophecy of the death of Sennacherib, king of Assyria.
Yet the siege wore on. Sennacherib sent Hezekiah another letter, reproaching his God and avowing their imminent destruction and the annihilation of his city and people.
Let not thy God in whom thou trustest deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not fall into the hands of the king of Assyria. Behold, thou hast heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the lands, by destroying them utterly. And shalt thou be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered them which my fathers have destroyed, as Gotsan and Haran and Redzeph, and the children of Aden which were in Thelasar? Where is the king of Hamat? And the king of
Behold, thou hast heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all lands, by destroying them utterly. And shalt thou be delivered?
Deeply troubled for the welfare of his people, Hezekiah went to the house of the Lord to offer up his heart to God for Jerusalem's deliverance.
O Lord, God of Israel, bow down thine ear and hear. Open, Lord, thine eyes and see, and hear the words of Sennacherib, which hath sent him to reproach the living God. Of a truth, Lord, the kings of Assyria have destroyed the nations and their lands, and have cast their gods into the fire, for they were no gods, but work of men's hands, wood and stone. Therefore they have destroyed them. Now, therefore, O Lord our God, I beseech thee, save thou us out of his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art the Lord God, even thou only.
The Lord answered Hezekiah's prayer through the prophet Isaiah, who sent a letter to Hezekiah prophesying.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord, God of Israel, that which thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria, I have heard. This is the word that the Lord hath spoken concerning him. Whom dost thou reproach and blaspheme? And against whom dost thou exalt thy voice and raise up thine eyes on high? Even against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shield, nor cast a bank against it. For I will defend this city, to save it, for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake. He shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shield, nor cast a bank against it.
For I will defend this city, to save it, for mine own sake.
And it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000, and cut off all the mighty men of valor, and the leaders and captains in the camp of the king of Assyria.
And when Hezekiah and his people arose early in the morning, behold, the Assyrian warriors were all dead corpses.
And so, in fulfillment of the prophecy, Sennacherib returned with shame of face into his own land. And when he had come into the house of his God, they that came forth of his bowels, his own 2 sons, slew him there with the sword.
And thus, the Lord delivered Hezekiah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem from the hand of Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, and from the hand of all other, and guided them on every side.